Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. It's Snapshot 19w45a and we have a ludicrous amount of bug fixes right here. There is a lot to talk about in this snapshot, but first of all we're going to look at this bit right here because there has been some changes to the bees AI. And by the looks of it, quite a lot of changes. This first one though is to do with how far they will search looking for a new nest or hive to call home. And this is 10 blocks in each direction, and if that shape is a circle, a sphere, or a square like this, I don't actually know, but it gives you a rough idea of how far they will search. It was actually listed as a bug that bees don't seem to have a wandering AI for just roaming around looking for something to do, and this could sometimes cause them to freeze. Now, it had also been spotted that the bees had stopped interacting with the two-tooled flowers again, so now they're able to collect pollen from them. And if a player is holding one of these two-tooled flowers, the bees will come to them like if they're holding a regular flower. If they happen to wander too far away from their original nest, they won't make the long journey home. If they find another nest that's empty on the way, they will happily go into a different nest. The bees could also get stuck interacting with cocoa beans, and you may have just seen a bee disappear there. It just did something it said it wouldn't be able to do, and so did that one. Apparently they're not going to pathfind to bees' nests or beehives that are behind walls, but as you saw there, it could kind of pop in even though this thing was fully surrounded. Looks like we just discovered a bug that needs fixing, and there's a lot of them. And that includes bees getting stuck interacting with fences, fence gates and walls, but now they understand these hitboxes and they shouldn't get stuck around them. Also, a bee with no AI like this one will be unable to get angry now. Regular bees also had trouble pathfinding when they're submerged in water, but you can see these bees clearly know how to make their way out of the water now. Now this might seem like a bit of a don't worry about it bug, but trying to use a flint and steel to light a campfire underneath a hive's nest would actually set the hive's nest on fire. Of course, because this is a feature you can use, you don't want your beehive getting set on fire. Shearing or bottling a bee's nest or beehive that was full would erroneously cause bees to pop out of the nest or the hive, which no longer happens. And I believe that is all of the bugs related to the bees in this snapshot. Yes, it was a terrible pun. Now let's get to our parity change for this update. Apparently in Bedrock you can craft composters with slabs all the way around. Not the way you did it in Java, but now it is the way, so that recipe is the same between both versions. And the other big change here is textures. Shield patterns are now using the alpha channel instead of brightness. And I believe this craziness right here is simply instructions for the program to convert the image file to make it compatible. Next up, the bugs, and we have a big one here. It reads that endstone bricks are less durable than endstone and destroyed by the ender dragon. Even though it's listed as being fixed, we can see here that the ender dragon destroys all types of endstone bricks, so there's no new addition to the type of blocks that it can't break, like obsidian for example. However, the bug report is related to the durability of this block, and if you're unaware, these bricks would actually mine faster than the endstone. They now mine slower and mine at the same speed as regular endstone. The blast resistance of endstone has also changed. It used to have the blast resistance of sandstone, but now you can see it's the same as endstone. And yes, there is a visual bug. The block seems to render offset from where the particle effects are. Very strange. There's also no oversight here. The mining speed of these variants have been updated, so they mine slower. My buddy Iskau on the Hermitcraft server has been exploiting the trades of a librarian, specifically one that's been cured from a zombie villager so that its trading prices go very low. This means that for 2 emeralds you could buy 3 bookshelves. That would give you 18 books and you could sell them 1 for 1, so it would give you 18 emeralds. Which is basically an infinite trade loop to get yourself tons and tons of emeralds, so it's been patched out of the game. So I made a mistake there. Bookshelves don't give you 6 books, they give you 3, but that still means that the infinite trade loop was possible. Now what you'll find is that it costs 3 emeralds for a bookshelf. That gives you 3 books, not 6, so you can only get 3 emeralds. So now the trade loop is gone. And while we're talking about zombie villagers and curing them, It's possible to give a zombie villager some armor if it's able to pick up loot. When you'd convert it into a villager, it would then lose all of this armor, and if you didn't know, villagers can actually have armor even though it won't be visually displayed. So now if you convert a zombie like this, the villager will then keep the armor. And it's that part of the video where I quickly interrupt to say if you're not subscribed to the channel, you want to keep up to date with the updates, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. As you'll see in this clip looped over and over, it is possible for a wither to actually attack itself accidentally with its own wither skulls. You can see here the wither is turning red because it's attacking itself as it's trying to attack an iron golem. This might be the same bug that causes the wither to take damage when it's inside of a wither cage, but maybe not, because here in 45a it's still doing the same thing. Anyway, the point is, under normal circumstances, that the wither won't be able to hurt itself anymore. According to a bug report, birch trees were unable to generate in dark forests, the ones that you would find next to a woodland mansion, and here in 45a I found a couple of them. There was also an interesting discovery that should make kelp in your oceans look a little nicer. Something in the way they generated meant if you stayed in the area for quite some time, the kelp would pretty much always grow all the way up to the surface, which looks kind of boring and bland. So when you're out and about exploring your oceans, the kelp shouldn't grow all the way to the surface, and that should help make it look more interesting. We've recently seen the addition for dispensers to place armor stands in the world. However, they would always place them facing in the same direction. And now you can see that's been adjusted so that they face away from the dispenser that placed them. The take aim advancement didn't include using spectral arrows, so if you shoot something with a spectral arrow, you can get that advancement. With recent additions and changes, we've seen that the fire charge can set light to a campfire. Turns out a ghast and a blaze were also able to do this as well. And that's if the game rule mob griefing was set to false. So now if it is set to false, they can't set a light to unlit campfires. Last snapshot we had a change to parrots, which I didn't cover because I wasn't sure if it was one of those back and forth decisions, but they're not going to imitate neutral mobs anymore, like pigmen, polar bears and wolves. These were the ones that were updated last snapshot, and this snapshot, Enderman, so parrots can't imitate any of these mobs, including the Enderman. Now, if you're not aware, the game's rendering engine is being enhanced, and this means there are all sorts of bugs being discovered, so we're going to quickly blitz through all the ones that have been fixed in 45a. Here's a beacon beam, and look at what happens when you look upwards. It gets darker. That's not what it should be doing. So here is the chunk border tool, but you'll see some funkiness when we look over at water, and then when we look downwards, this clearly isn't rendering properly at all. Okay, we've got a mob. We're setting it on fire, and this mob should appear bright when it's on fire, but it appears dark. The world border was rendering itself in front of absolutely everything. Can you see the corner here? Yeah, this is pretty bizarre. If we look closely at this glass, we'll see that, yeah, there's clearly some errors in the rendering. This is supposed to be fixed as well. Here we have a block that's actually on an armor stand, and you can see the engine currently is having all sorts of issues with lighting this correctly. And here's a bunch more of them that were reported on the bug tracker. Firstly, pillagers that used up their crossbow or weren't holding one wouldn't render their arms. Throwing an enchanted trident into the ground would cause it to lose its enchanted glint. Using the night vision effect would cause everything in your inventory to have a blue tint. An iron golem holding a rose or a poppy wouldn't hold it in the correct place, as you can see. The left and the right side of the ender dragon was being rendered with different brightness levels. And if you look at that dirt block, it's going over the top of the text for some reason. Also a little bit of the XP meter managing to make its way off of the GUI. And these are floating blocks that are glowing. By floating I mean falling sand. And the problem was that they weren't actually glowing, which is something they're supposed to be able to do. And also sometimes your advancements would do this funkiness. Now, of course, there were plenty more bugs, but those are the important ones I felt like talking about. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, and I've got two things to say. Yesterday, I posted a video about my history with redstone contraptions. If you like redstone, I'm sure you like the video. Go check it out. And second of all, of course, there are loads and loads of visual issues in these snapshots. If you find any yourself, be sure to report them on the bug tracker. But that's it from me this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon with another one. Bye-bye.